It's finally finished, but we're still stuck in supernatural purgatory. This podcast is a rewatch of all 15 seasons and hopefully our way to finally escape this show.
Join us once a week for a fun, informal discussion on each episode and leave comments on any specific upcoming plot points you'd like us to discuss.
Where?
What was that noise? That was so good. Yeah. So this week we're on episode 10 of season 1, Asylum. And I was looking up some facts and figures as I normally do. So 8.5 out of 10 on IMDb, which it was surprisingly highly rated, I thought. I think last week's episode was 8.7, so I was like, oh. But 8.5 is pretty good.
Yeah.
It was directed by Guy Normanby or Guy B. And I think this is the first episode he's directed, but he's done a fair few over the years for Supernatural. And the writer was Richard Hatem again. So, yeah, we've seen him a few times now.
Have we?
Yeah, he's written a few episodes. I think he wrote...
Oh, I forget. I
feel like he wrote Skin, but I'm not sure. It would make sense if he did.
Yeah, it definitely has that same kind of, feel to it.
Yeah.
So, this episode to me kind of wasn't that impactful. I mean, it was, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
It has its moments. Obviously, we'll get into those moments. I am surprised it was an 8.5. I didn't think it was. I don't know.
I didn't think it was any better than any other episodes that maybe were lower rated.
Yeah.
I think that this episode is to Sam as Skin was to Dean's character. Like, it was the same kind of deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. No, yeah, that's definitely true. I had the same thought. So I guess we can get into it.
Let's do it. So
let's jump right in.
Okay.
So we start in Rockford, Illinois, and we are looking at Roosevelt Asylum. You know this is not going to turn out well when you start at an asylum. I mean, it's in the title, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
So okay, I know I do this every week, and I'm really sorry. We start getting into it, and something happens at the beginning of the episode that I'm like, oh, this is not related. But have you ever gone urban exploring, like going to abandoned buildings and stuff?
I guess the closest thing I've been to that kind of urban exploring thing is I went to an old submarine, like demagnetizing harbor place in Estonia. So it's like a Soviet era like naval thing. It was pretty cool.
But you were allowed to go there, right? It wasn't like...
Yeah, well, it was on a tour. And we went to like the outskirts of a prison at the same time, and that was kind of... Yeah, but yeah, I've never broken in somewhere to go exploring. I think that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, I've always wanted to do that. Apparently, so outside of our hometown, like not far, there is like an abandoned theme park. I didn't know that. Like I've seen some people that we know have like taken pictures, and like it's really, really cool. But like I would never do it in America because I would probably get arrested. If you didn't know, I'm of mixed race, so therefore I am black in some circles. So I can't imagine, and I'm in North Carolina, I can't imagine that's going to go down too well. So I'm not going to be doing that. Even though there's like really cool like plantations and stuff, like not far. Like if you go into South Carolina and like Georgia and those areas, you could find some really cool like estates, but obviously I'm not going to be doing that. Anyway, sorry, to get back into the episode, which kind of comes back to what's happening actually. So the police actually arrive to the asylum because they get a report saying that, I guess they get a report or something. I'm not sure why they're going there.
Or they're out on patrol and they like see a car pulled up and know it's a place that people break into. Something has like
drawn their attention.
Yeah, exactly.
So this whole scene is very much like just exposition of what this place is, because one of the police officers, did they say what his name is?
Yeah, so there's two police officers. I think it's Daniel Gunderson and Walter Kelly. So
Right.
Walter Kelly here is the one that like wanders off into the basement. I think that's where he's gone.
The Gunnison finds the kids who are like cowering somewhere, and like it's sort of like a little bit of cut back and forth. We go back to Kelly, and he's got the typical ghost things happening. So they haven't established the cold spots yet because it's just flickering lights.
Yeah,
right?
I said this last episode as well. They didn't ask Jenny in her house whether she'd had any cold spots in the house. So it does, does seem to be like flickering lights and things moving. Like especially, they really like the doors opening and closing in this episode.
They do. They really do.
Yeah.
This is definitely more of the like what. So I don't like ghost things. So for me, this is definitely one more of the quote unquote scary episodes.
Yeah.
Just because like ghosts make me really uncomfortable. Like especially in this environment, like where where you don't really see them and they just pop out. Yeah. So we see that the flashlight is not working properly, and then he gets a little bit of a nosebleed.
Yeah. Yeah. So he goes down to the basement, and it's sort of implied that something happens to him, because when he comes back out and finds his partner who's got rid of the kids, I guess, they're sat together, and his nose is bleeding and stuff. But we don't see anything in this first bit. Like we don't know what's happened, and we don't know like what's going on really.
You're right.
Yeah. So then, like once they've kind of taken the kids out and they've kind of done their rounds and things, I would say like Kelly's acting a bit weird. Like I think it's just the camera angles and the way they've shot him, but he seems creepy. And then so he goes back home and has like his wife is implying that they had an argument earlier, and then like out of nowhere he shoots her, which it doesn't show it, but it's outside the window and you like hear gunshots before the title card of this episode. So yeah, something happened to him in the asylum. We don't know what it was.
So I said that this is the first time we've seen sort of like a ghost possession.
Yeah.
But it's, as we get into it, it's kind of not, but I don't know. I'm not sure what it would be considered at this point. But
that's a really good point, actually. Like what actually is happening to these people, because that seems pretty extreme. But I guess with what happens later on. Okay. Yeah. I have to think about that.
So we cut to a motel with Sam and Dean, and Sam's on the phone with we're not sure who who's on the phone with, but this is the sort of first indication that there's, at least they are forming some sort of hunter network, because he comes into a little bit of conversation with Dean saying like, we've called this person, and they haven't heard from John.
Yeah, so he's calling, what I got was he was calling John's like basically his gun dealer, asking him if he'd heard from him. And he gets off the phone and he said his name was Caleb. He also mentions Jefferson and Pastor Jim. And I like to say that maybe we meet Pastor Jim at some point. I don't know why, but his name pings something in my brain. But I can't back that up with any knowledge. So
I mean, we do come across a lot of religious folk later on, so it's very possible.
It's possible. Yeah, I don't know why that one pinged my brain. Yeah, so I mean, he's on the phone asking about John. Dean's like leafing through the journal, and like asking like, have you found any clues or anything? And Dean said like, no. Like the guy writes like Yoda.
I love the guy, but I swear he writes like friggin' Yoda.
And this is the first of like. There are a lot of pop culture references in this episode that Dean makes, like a lot, like more than normal.
Yes. Okay, I'm glad you picked that up too. Like there's 2 scenes back to back where I think there's like 5. That's way too many.
Like he does do it throughout the seasons, but this was like a lot. To the point that it was like most of his dialogue in this episode was pop culture references, but they're fine.
I think, definitely.
So like Sam asks if they should maybe call the feds, which I assume he just means like the police. I don't know if he generally means the FBI. I It doesn't
No,
seem like
I
a
think he
great
does.
idea.
So he does mean the FBI. Well, usually when you say feds, it refers to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, so that'll be FBI. Which is kind of weird that you would go straight to the FBI. Like, I know that in terms of like hierarchy, because it's the federal, so it's like it looks at the whole entire country rather than the state. And obviously John is missing in the country.
Yeah.
But like usually you would go to the so I think it was Colorado was the last place, right? The very
I
first.
think so, yeah.
The second episode where they like have an indication of where he might be.
Yeah.
For Wendigo. So like you would go to them first.
Yeah.
Rather than anyway, at least that's how I would interpret it. So it's just funny that
it just seems like a bad idea. Like, what are they going to do if they find John? He's probably got a trunk full of weapons,
and like they do all this illegal stuff to get money, like credit card fraud. I mean, Dean does express that by saying Dad would be pissed. So
yeah,
like
sure.
He knows that it's not a good idea.
So I mean, they get into it like. Sam's kind of, I don't know, he kind of tiptoeing around Dean in this episode. So he's saying to him here, like, you know, asking him if he's okay, you know, that John didn't turn up when they were in Kansas, which we were kind of hoping that they would talk about this because I said in the last episode, like, oh, I bet they're not gonna, but they kind of do. Yeah. They kind of skirt around it, but they do. So, and they discuss here what we talked about for a few episodes where Sam's like, well, you know, John could be dead. And Dean's like, don't even say that. So I guess it's kind of, I think it's swapped. I think Dean still thinks that. I do. I still think he thinks that, but he's in denial about it. It might be true. But we'll see. I mean, like, obviously, like, Dean's not okay that John didn't show up because he left that really, like, heartfelt message on his voicemail. And I think Sam just mostly feels sorry for him rather than being annoyed himself.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So then Dean gets a message on his phone, and it did a dramatic zoom into the phone screen.
Me too.
It was so cheesy. It was so cheesy.
And so unnecessary. But, unnecessary. I think all of them are, to be honest. But like, we're already super close up on the phone. Like, we can already read it. But no, it's just like, look at this information.
Yeah, and like, it didn't really mean anything either. Like, there was no need to do it because it's just some numbers and said it wasn't sent from anybody. So why did you need to zoom in on their phone screen? Yeah, whatever. But like, Dean gets well excited. About it, because. Like, he's like, it's a text message. And he immediately thinks it's from John because it's coordinates. And he starts doing all this research on it, like, straight away. Sort of fuels him into action. Yeah.
And it's kind of Sam's reaction to, like, Dean thinking it's John is so funny.
The man can barely work a toaster, Dean.
I'm like, we've just established that he used to be a mechanic. So he... You know, like, I kind of get where he's coming from in that, like, you know, how often did he cook meals and stuff like that for them in motels? Probably not that often. So obviously Sam has grown up with his dad not being, like, showing much care in terms of certain things. And it also came to mind that, like, so John's supposed to be in his mid to late 40s right now?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And so I keep looking at this, like, forgetting that we're in 2020 and that this was in 2005.
Yeah.
So it's like, so you got to think 40 years back from 2005, and it's just like, yeah, okay, there is like a little bit of a disconnect with like technology at that age, but like I didn't know anybody who was in their 40s in 2005. Like, why would I? But like, I just think of my parents, I guess. I think
I
think they're about the same age, and like at that time they would always call me. Like, they wouldn't, texting was not a thing until like recently.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. Like, it's so hard to teach some people to use technology. I mean, come on, honestly. So I mean, so Dean's like, you know, like, yeah, let's go do this. Like, he might be there. And Sam's kind of just annoyed that he's only messaging them with a job. Like, not even any, like, hi, how are you? Just, like, some coordinates.
Yeah.
Like, go on, go. But, yeah, Dean's like, no, we're definitely going. And it's like, the end of that scene, like, Sam's face is so funny. He looks so annoyed. But it's just, like, a Sam annoyed face. Like, he's pursing his lips. Like, it's just, I don't know.
So, I think, this episode also kind of made me realize a little bit of why it's so difficult to connect with Sam, because he keeps going back and forth between this moody child and like being able to work her jobs, especially in this like scene where definitely. He's like in Bugs, you know, he like we said last time, he was all up for apologizing to John and realizing his mistake, or I say mistake in quotations, he didn't make mistakes, but but then suddenly now he's like, and like he seemed okay with sort of just doing jobs. Yeah. But now he's like, again, so focused on finding John again. And it's just like, 1 minute he's, you know, you're able to emotionally connect, I guess, a little bit. And then next he's like just being annoying, I guess. And like very, confrontational for being confrontational, I guess. I don't know.
It's just, he flips off between being like annoyed with what they're doing to like on board with it and back again. I guess that's kind of true to real life. Like, you'd have days when you were okay with the situation, you'd have days when you weren't. But yeah, I think that's why it's weird, because you do see the same thing with Dean. Like, you see him flip-flop between like hyper like masculine like stupid stuff that comes out of his mouth, and then, you know, like vulnerable side where he's like leaving voice messages to his dad. But that seems to work as a whole character, whereas like Sam in these early seasons does flip-flop between like capable hunter and just like bit whiny child. Sounds awful, I know, but
no, definitely. So but yeah, so it was for me that's what kind of resonated in this scene for me. It was just like he was back to basically the very few episodes, like episode 2. Like, it felt very much Wendigo attitude of like, or I don't know, like just, or even Dead in the Water more.
Like, doesn't want to be there, doesn't want to go.
Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, maybe it's a bit of like, you know, a come down from the last episode where he really thought this was all going to get solved and they'd sorted everything out, but it wasn't that, and they're still having to go on this trip together. I think, he's a bit bummed out. Yeah. But I mean, this conversation leads into like, I guess later on a little bit. Yeah, exactly.
So so they end up in a bar, which is not a pub, it's an actual bar.
It's actually called the Old Terminal Pub, so I think you'll find.
Okay. But it's still considered a bar. And so we found the jacket thief.
Oh, yeah.
The police officer has the exact same leather jacket as Dean has.
Oh my god, how did I not notice this? Oh
I mean, it's not exactly the same, but it's the same kind of like brown leather worn. I don't think like, I was just, when I saw that I was like, ha, he was the one who took it. But
and also Dean doesn't wear that jacket in this episode, so I mean,
it could very well be that they had to like give him something, so they're like, here you go, use this one.
Oh man.
So the surviving officer, and he's just having a drink by himself, and Dean comes up to him as like saying he's a reporter for the Chicago Tribune.
He introduces himself as Nigel Tufnell, who's a guitarist from the movie Spinal Tap.
Well, that's funny. So they, you know, he's being a very aggressive reporter, like asking him what happened and like in a really belligerent way. And then acting. Sam comes to the rescue of the officer and like tells him to go away, and and pushes him off and tells him that he's an officer and you should respect him and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, all right there. Mr. Rambo.
Chill out a bit, yeah. It's really getting into it, yeah.
It makes me laugh when actors playing a character I have to act. It makes me laugh.
Yeah, no, I love that. So with this acting, like Sam manages to get all the information out of the officer. You don't actually hear him tell him afterwards, because Sam meets Dean outside the bar and kind of tells him all this, like, oh, he told me all about the asylum, but again doesn't really go into it, sort of cuts. I like here that like Dean says like, you shoved me kind of hard.
Yeah.
And Sam's like, oh no, it's method acting.
Shoved me kind of hard in there, buddy boy.
I had to sell it, didn't I? It's method acting.
Huh?
Never mind.
They're clearly poking fun at themselves there, like.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so they got all the information, but we don't know what it is. They're very, like, secretive in this episode. Like, what's in there? What's it gonna be?
So, like, for me, this episode felt like it should have been an hour long. There's things that, like, big chunks of story that kind of just get cut out. Now, I don't know if that's because just before I watched this episode, I just finished The Two Towers and I was watching Return of the King. So obviously these are really expansive, like, storytelling movies. Yeah. They weren't the extended cuts, they were just the regular ones.
Yeah.
So I'm like, in my mind I was like, oh, they would have shown all this, and I was like, wait a minute, they only have 40 minutes, like, of course. But it did feel like they had to leave out like a few. I'll bring up another one.
Okay, yeah.
There's two specific cases of this. So I'll bring up the other one when it comes up. But like, this was definitely one of the first ones. I was like, where's the story? I know that we've already seen it, but like, I don't know. It was
just a quick explanation. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I mean, next time we see them, it's daytime. And they're climbing in over the fence to get to the asylum. And can we just take a moment to appreciate the backflip or whatever it is that Jensen did over that fence? Because it was unnecessarily, I don't know.
Flamboyant.
Yes, that's the word. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of impressive. It was.
Yeah.
I can't imagine like running up to a fence and just being able to jump it. Like, oh yeah, I was just like, okay.
I could barely even like climb over a stile, on those wooden things that you find out on your walks. I like need a hand, so yeah, it's impressive.
It's like he did a handstand in midair on a fence.
Like what was that? It was amazing. I mean, I guess I know Jensen used to be a cheerleader in high school, but like showing off much.
Yeah,
it was good. Yeah, it was good. So, I mean, I didn't write much of this scene. They basically just walk around sort of shining their, like, torches, flashlights on things. And they kind of hover over the south wing. And Dean consults the journal, which we kind of find out that he kind of keeps it in his inside pocket, which must be really clunky.
Yeah.
It's a big old book. And he says that it's mentioned that in 1972, like 3 kids went into the South Wing and then only 1 survived. And they're kind of wondering why nothing had happened since the 70s. But the teenagers that broke in at the beginning of the episode, like, cut the chain that was on the door. So they've, in the words of Dean, that was either keeping something out or keeping something in.
Looks like the doors are usually chained. Could have been chained up for years.
Yeah, to keep people out. Or to keep something in.
So, in the trivia of this episode on IMDb, it said something about this is the episode that establishes that iron, like, deters ghosts. Because it's kind of interesting that why would these ghosts be stuck in this one wing? And it like they do show this the chain and lock quite often.
Yeah.
And they don't say if it's iron or not, but it is rusting, so I mean maybe.
I didn't make that connection at all, because I also saw that and I was like expecting them then in the episode to like hit a ghost with like a crowbar, and it like never happened. So I was like, what were they talking about? Oh my gosh, that's a really good connection. I didn't see that at all.
So I mean, because I mean, there's the salt circle thing hasn't come up yet, but like you know, that definitely stops ghosts from getting in.
Yeah,
but I'm not sure how like having just a chain on the door would stop them from like going through the walls. But you know,
I don't think they use that again. I think they use that they can use iron as a weapon, but I don't think they use it as a deterrent ever.
Yeah,
I don't know. So yeah, I guess that's where they establish it. But yeah, I didn't read it like that at all. I was just, I don't know. I thought, oh, we're locking the doors means the ghosts can't get out. I don't know.
Also, that's exactly what I thought at the beginning, and then I read that. I was like, oh, so maybe that's what it is.
Yeah,
so,
that would make more sense. Okay, fine, yeah. So they're still walking around this hospital, and I suppose for him, Dean is teasing Sam about his psychic powers. Like, it's full on, like, teasing.
Yeah.
And it's weird. Like, I get it. He's trying to make light of it, right? Just something you can like joke about.
No, I'm serious. You got to be careful, all right? Ghosts are attracted to that whole ESP thing you got going on.
I told you, it's not ESP. I just have strange vibes sometimes. Weird dreams.
Yeah, whatever. Don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah. It does. It's so... His character just avoiding it, just making a joke out of it instead of actually talking about it.
And so this is the beginning of like the sequence of reference, like pop culture references.
Yeah.
Like this is the beginning. Like it starts with I can't remember who he starts with, but
first of all, Sam says that it's just strange vibes and weird dreams, which I feel like is downplaying what's actually going on there. But okay.
Yeah.
I think he says,
"Hey Sam, who do you think's a hotter psychic? Trisha Arquette, Jennifer Love Hewitt, or you?"
I know who Patricia Arquette is. Jennifer Love Hewitt, like, I can't remember who she is. It rings a bell in my head. But I used to watch Medium. Yeah, so I enjoyed Medium a lot. I don't know if you ever watched that.
So I didn't watch that, but I did watch. So she's from The Ghost Whisperer, which I did watch because it was really stupid.
That's where I know her from. Gosh. I definitely have watched that as well.
Yeah. So it's... I can't think of what she's been in recently. I'm going to look this up real quick because I know she's been in something like super, super recent. So she was... Did you ever watch Criminal Minds?
Yes, I love Criminal Minds. Who's she in Criminal Minds?
So she's one of the investigators. She's Kate Callahan.
Oh.
She becomes pregnant and like her niece is her like adoptive daughter.
Yeah, I kind of remember this.
If you think Jennifer Gardner, she looks very similar to that, but like shorter, basically.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So yeah, that's where she's from.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, cool.
That's funny because I don't know who Patricia Arquette was.
Yeah, so. Yeah. She's been in lots of stuff. Yeah. So I kind of like enjoy this teasing, but like I said, it's kind of more like talking around the subject, and I think Sam's going along with it for a bit, and then as he does like more and more, like you can see Sam's getting like a bit pissed.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's already referenced, like he's already called him the kid from Sixth Sense, and then he compares him to two ghost like shows. Medium. I guess Medium is a ghost show and Ghost Whisperer. Yeah. And then so they end up in like an exam room.
Yeah, I think that's so. Like I put creepy medical exam room.
Yeah, and like he doesn't. And this, they're looking at all the stuff that's in there, and like Dean makes another reference to One Who Flew the Cuckoo's Nest. Like,
yeah,
he even just like pulls constant. Like a Jack Nicholson face.
Yeah. I just put like Sam doesn't react. Like all of these like jokes that Dean's making, like just Sam's just like no reaction.
Yeah,
playing to an audience who doesn't care like at all. So they're talking about, as well as making all these pop culture references, like they're talking about what this could be. So Dean thinks, oh, maybe it's a ghost that's like possessing people. And then Sam says, well, like maybe it's like I can never say this word, Amityville or the Smurl haunting, where it wasn't so much possessing people, but the ghosts were like driving them insane. And then again, Dean makes another reference. He's like my man Jack in The Shining.
Yeah.
And that's the one that like breaks the camel's back. Like Sam's like, no more. I can't take it. You're taking too many.
So I wonder if like this is a kind of the point of it though, because like you said, it was so many in this episode, and so I'm wondering if it was like it was kind of indicating a little bit of Sam's resilience to this, and then eventually he's just like, no, too much.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know.
It's probably something that like Dean does all the time when he's trying not to talk about something or like make a joke out of something. So he's used to it.
Yeah. They start like what could potentially be a bit of a deeper conversation.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, I felt like they were going to talk a little bit more about what happened in Kansas, as in like their Mary, like that situation.
Yeah.
But they didn't. They turned and went straight to John and was like, the fact that he wasn't there, even after like leaving the messages and stuff. And like, it was a very weird conversation. Like I was like, whoa, okay. All right.
When are we going to talk about it?
Talk about what?
About the fact that Dad's not here.
Let's see. Never.
I'm being serious, man.
So am I, Sam. Look, he sent us here. He obviously wants us here.
It was very much like, Sam wanting to talk about it and Dean not wanting to talk about it, I think. And it was, again, yeah, you're right. It's only weird they like centered around John not helping them. They didn't discuss Mary at all in this episode. So that's already a bit odd to me. But, this starts a conversation that finishes later on. And like Sam's talking about taking orders, and Dean's like, well, yeah, we've been given an order, this is what we've got to do, and like Sam's like, well, we don't always have to follow them. So there's this kind of back and forth between them.
We deserve some answers, Dean. I mean, this is our family we're talking about.
I understand that, Sam, but he's given us an order.
So what? We gotta always follow Dad's orders?
Of course we do.
Or like when Sam says like we don't always have to follow them, and Dean says like, of course we do. Like Sam makes a face like gotcha. Like I don't know what it is, but like he was trying to like draw that out of him. I don't know. It was a bit like, why is he trying to lead Dean down this path? I guess maybe he's trying to make him realize how much he gives into John over the years, always doing what he says. And maybe this is the only way he can get him to talk about it. It's literally like confrontation after confrontation. We can't talk about like normal people.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, Dean doesn't even take this that seriously, because he ends it with a joke that says, that right there is why I always got the extra cookie.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
so even though Sam is trying to start this serious conversation of like, look what John has made you into, basically.
Yes.
Like a sheep. Like you will do whatever he says, and Dean doesn't want to acknowledge it. So
yeah, I think definitely Sam's trying to get something out of him here that he doesn't get. If that makes sense. So I mean, they're having this like, I guess, confrontation thing, and I put Dean's walking around touching stuff that he shouldn't. Constantly like leafing through things and like picking things up, like it's gonna get you in trouble. And they find a plaque with the guy's name on it. He's Sanford Ellicott. Ellicott is, I don't know, it's kind of nice to say, like Ellicott.
It's not a bad name.
Yeah, so they find this plaque and like, oh, maybe it's related, but again, they don't really. That's it. That's the end of that scene. So they're gonna go research this guy, I guess, which I think they must have done.
Well, so again, this actually, okay, there's more than the two that I was gonna mention, but this again, it felt like this jump that they do is so weird. Like they don't show how they find out who they're going to. So they end up in a therapist office.
Yeah.
And it's the son of the Ellicott person that was there.
Yeah.
And so we kind of know that because we see like a little plaque and it says, I can't remember what the therapist's name was, but it's something Ellicott.
Yeah.
Psychiatrist. So it just felt like they kind of, in terms of like research, it's all kind of it's not really done in this episode in the traditional sense, I guess, in that
Yeah.
like they don't go to the library, they don't like look up anything, like we don't see this like how they got to find, like it seems so fortunate that the son also became a psychiatrist.
Yeah, it's a lot of like coincidences here. Yeah, I think they had a lot to fit in this episode, and they needed to try and like cut it as well as they could. But there are a few jump cuts here that feel a bit, I don't know, rushed, I guess. But it's fine. It's okay.
Like I said, it's just because I've been watching like a 3-hour movie that could tell everything that was going on. So
yeah,
and they
sure.
even in the regular cut, they miss out stuff. So theatrical cut. So anyway, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, so they send Sam to go talk to this psychiatrist, which seems like the good choice. Definitely. So, but I did say when he gets called into the office, he's being like really untactful. Like, I don't know.
It's very.
He looks
I'm a
super
history buff. Like, no, it was not good. I was like, so I even wrote before the next bit of dialogue, like he's not gonna convince this psychiatrist, this trained professional, that he's there by accident.
No.
There's no way that he can just be like, hey, I'm a history buff and like tell me what you know, because I know that you're the son of, or you're related to, and it's just his tone that he uses is just like,
what a funny coincidence that this has happened. Ooh. Yeah, he was never gonna get that. So I mean, the psychiatrist makes a deal with him.
Now I'll make you a deal. I'll tell you all about the Roosevelt riot if you tell me something honest about yourself, like this brother you're road tripping with. How do you feel about him?
I do have something else to say about, like, so I've never been to a psychiatrist or counselor, or I did when I was much younger, and I don't ever remember like being approached as if I've been there before, because the way that the guy was talking was like, so tell me how you've been, like let's catch up kind of thing. And I'm like, has he been here before? Like, and then he says something about the way that he phrases like going on a road trip and stuff. I was like, okay, so then no, he hasn't been there before. But
yeah,
like I know they try and make you feel comfortable, I guess, but I don't feel like it's like so casual in that, like, because Sam even introduces saying, oh, I'm so glad you could see me on short notice, which I feel like is something that you say when you know the person.
I don't know. So, like, as someone who has been through it in my, like, 20s, like, it is kind of cash. Like, when it is. I would say that it's like that. Like, people really try to make you feel at ease, and it's almost just like a conversation. But you tend to, like, you go in, you sort of talk about what's happened in the week, like, since you were last there. Like, even... I guess the first appointment's not often like that, but yeah, it is like fairly casual. The seats are always really comfy. That's but yeah, like it is quite cash. So this didn't strike me as an odd conversation to have with the psycho. I mean, Sam was making it weird. By asking all the questions about the asylum and stuff. But like when he asks him to sort of. The weird bit is when he asks him like a really direct question. I don't think generally, I've never had that happen where it's like, tell me about this specific thing that's going on. That's a bit odd.
Yeah.
And I think Sam looks like almost scared to answer. But
like how much you tell somebody.
Yeah, and like also, what did he say? Because it doesn't show you or tell you.
So again, this is another part that I was like, where's the story? What happened? I need to know, because it's established that he was there for a long time, because Dean looks pissed and was like, you were in there forever. And it's just like he does explain that. So Sam explains that who the rioters were, and like it was who was in the South Wing, basically.
Like they said, like it was the more like violent patients, or those who had like more difficulties. So those are the people that started the riot, it's assumed, and also that this Dr. Ellicott was there as well. But in this whole thing where he's explaining what happened, he doesn't tell him what he discussed. But I think that's fair enough. But he definitely said something. What did he say? What do we think he said to that psychiatrist?
So I think what he said was what comes up later, like in a little bit.
And yes.
So I do have a theory of like we'll get to it when we get to that scene, but I do have a theory of something that, I don't want to say it now because like it doesn't make sense to say it now. Yeah, we're not there yet.
Yeah.
So basically they discovered that in the South Wing, they all had very traumatic, violent deaths, which equals angry spirits. So they need to go in and basically find the bodies and destroy them.
Yes.
Because some of them were never recovered.
Exactly, yeah. So that's what they're going to go do. They're going to go back and they're going to go check, which makes sense. So we cut to nighttime, but the people going into the asylum aren't Sam and Dean. It's two teenagers, I guess,
going on a date.
Yeah, like why?
So, why exactly is a very good question. Like, if it makes sense if you're both into that kind of thing, but like she's clearly not that into it, right? She's just kind of why are we here? Like, what is going on? And like, really, why would you get out of the car? Like as soon as you pull up to like, so this is a legend throughout this town, throughout the city, that like this place is bad. So you pull up to the place. And you're like, yeah, sure, let's both go in there. Like, what?
Fine. Like, yeah, teenagers are they do some questionable things sometimes. I think, but this one was more questionable. Like, why are you going into this abandoned building? It's like, dangerous for one. Like, it is minus the ghost.
I was gonna say, like, I don't think she's that desperate to go out with this guy that she would just go along with it. Like, she seems very like independent. Anyway, especially later on, like we hear a little bit, and it sounds like they're not really haven't been dating a long time.
It's a weird date to take someone on. So I'll introduce them here because they don't get introduced till later, but it will make it easier. So the boy is called Gavin, and the girl is Catherine or Kat. So I think she's referred to as Kat through most of this episode. So they're wandering around. She doesn't want to go any deeper into the like asylum, so he wanders off by himself. And I really like that camera movement where you've got someone like in the foreground and then it pans slowly away from them and then you see someone standing behind them. I like that horror movie like camera movement. It's so overused and like so cliched, but every time it does it I'm like, oh, there's someone behind them. So it's someone who like looks like his girlfriend in silhouette. So like she walks over and like kisses him, but then we hear a cat like shouting from another room, like, "Where are you?" Then finally we see like Sam and Dean, and they have arrived, and they're doing like really typical ghost hunter things. So they like Dean's got an EMF detector, and Sam's got that night vision camera that we've seen before. And he says a sentence that just sounded really weird, like, I would say, like, it's orbing all over the place.
Well, so, like, why did they ever drop the camera thing?
I don't know.
Like, apparently it's very effective. Like, it shows everything. I mean, it's definitely the reason why they used it for this one is because of the effect that comes up, like he's looking around and boom.
Yeah.
I'm also trying to think the last time in, you know, the later seasons where they literally just go ghost hunting, and it's not that often.
What's weirder to me is that we know there are ghost hunters, like, you know, people who hunt ghosts who are using these same techniques. So why are they not finding anything?
This is true.
Because they seem to be finding it pretty easy, like all those orbs and stuff on that camera screen. There's like loads of them everywhere, and surely there must have been like, I guess it was closed off. I get like with a chain, so maybe it's only in that section. All right, fine, but like that doesn't account for other haunted buildings. I guess they do meet ghost hunters later on, but
ghost pacers.
Yeah. But I don't think they ever, I might be misremembering, but I don't think they ever found a ghost until they meet like the Winchesters. So
and they do the same. Yeah, that's true. They do the same thing Is it,
Yeah, it's weird.
Maybe...
So maybe they're just magnets for ghosts. I don't know. I blame Sam's psychic ability. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, they do like you see like a spooky ghost man in this bit where they're walking down and like pans behind them. Like that was unnecessarily creepy.
Yes, his head movement was like,
don't like that.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a lot of the like you're tracking with the main characters, and like something passes the camera, and like they turn around. Is they do a really good job of making this episode atmospheric and like creepy, which is it's great for that, and it's amazing cinematography. I really liked it.
Yeah,
in that sense, but I just don't like ghosts. I can appreciate it, but I don't have to like it, and I didn't like it. And I mean, so this comes back to like, so Sam's looking through the camera, and then he's like turning around, and there's this face, this like distorted white face in the camera, and he's like, I wrote boo. And it's this woman who's like, she's just walking towards Sam. She's not doing anything. And he sort of establishes that the ghosts are not actually malicious. They're just kind of there trying to, I guess, communicate.
Yeah, and he holds on to this where Dean's like not so convinced through the rest of this episode that they're not trying to like actively attack anybody. Yeah, it's interesting. Again, I wonder if he can get like a sort of hint of their intent through his like weird abilities. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't think they ever kind of go too much into it, right?
No, I don't know. So they find Kat hiding behind like a bed or something, and she's lost Gavin. She says she heard him scream, but she's lost him. Like I said, Dean takes charge and like tells Sam to get her out, but Kat's not having it. She doesn't want to leave without Gavin. And like she said, she's like, I've seen things. It's really spooky. Like, but it's really brave of her, I guess, to go look for this boy, which we don't know how long she's known him, but I don't know if I would be that brave unless I'd known someone for a while.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, good on her. She's obviously a good person, I guess.
Yeah, she seems pretty on it, if that makes So, like, we say that she's like savvy and like brave and everything, but she's walking around this asylum like shouting for like Gavin, and Dean has to like be like, have you seen scary movies before? He's like getting well exasperated with her.
Gavin!
I got a question for you. You've seen a lot of horror movies, yeah?
I guess so.
Do me a favor, next time you see one, pay attention. When someone says a place is haunted, don't go in.
He's like super annoyed. And I just love that. Like how annoyed he must get at these people who get in these situations. Like why are you doing this? Like I would know better.
This is true.
Yeah.
I mean, that is. I wrote the same thing. Because it's a very good line. It's advice to live by. So and then it cuts to Sam, and Sam finds Gavin like passed out on the floor. Or knocked out on the floor. And Gavin tells him about his ghost encounter. And like he's trying to say that like, did the ghost do anything to you? Like what happened? Like did he try to attack you? And Gavin's like, no, but she kissed me. And he's like, okay, but did she say anything? He's like, dude, this ghost kissed me. And he's like, I'm scarred for life. And Sam's kind of like, the way Sam kind of just like brushes it off as if it's nothing, it's just, it makes me laugh. Like,
I think he said like, oh, it's not the worst thing like that could have happened, but like this kid probably like really traumatized. Like, it's terrifying. Oh man. I don't know. Sam's face is just super uncomfortable as well, like talking about it. Like he's just like, okay, that's really odd, And
then so we go back to Dean and Kat, and they're looking around, and then she says, "Ow, you're hurting my arm." Oh, yeah. And like then like what looks like the Thing from the Addams Family, because it's just like the hand. Yeah, there's like nothing else, and she gets pulled into what looks like a patient's room.
Yeah.
And is like, the door slams behind her and Dean's trying to get it open, and they continue to struggle and screaming and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like Dean trying to get through that door was super good. Like, I think he finds a crowbar somewhere, which has made it weirder for me that they never hit a ghost with it, because he does have one on him. Trying to like pry the door open and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Though there's no actual ghost inside the room yet. She's just trying to get out. You know, she there's nothing in there. Obviously, it's still terrifying because she just got dragged in there. And then Sam and Gavin, I guess, hearing the commotion, run over to the door, and on the inside, Kat is like being pursued by the ghost now. It's now appeared, and it's like this. So actually, okay, this is just connecting. Have you seen The One Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
No, I haven't actually.
Okay, well, so the ghost that is like, you know, backing Kat up into the wall kind of reminds me of the one of the main characters, not Jack Nicholson's character, but there's this other character who's like the eyes of the story.
Okay.
If you, in the book anyway, not so much in the movie. He's this really tall Native American guy who has convinced everyone that he's deaf and dumb, so he doesn't speak and can't hear, but he can actually hear and he can actually talk.
Okay.
So it like the character that is there looks very similar, very tall with the same kind of hair. I don't think he's supposed to be Native American, but so I don't know. I literally just made that connection. So
that's a neat connection. I'm glad you made that.
Yeah. So that Sam's then yelling through the door like, you have to look at the ghost. Like, it's not going to hurt you. Just look at it. It's trying to tell you something.
It's not going to hurt you. Listen to me. You have to face it. You have to calm down.
Just gotta what?
I have to what?
These spirits, they're not trying to hurt us. They're trying to communicate.
Yeah.
I was like, look at the ghost. Yeah, no, thank you. I'm in Kat's boat. Like, no.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to look at this thing. But eventually she does, and they could open the door.
Yeah, the ghost you see the ghost kind of like lean into her, and I guess it kind of looks like he's whispering something to her as well. So it tracks with what Sam's saying. And then when she comes out, she's like, oh, well, like he just said like 137. Like they immediately make the connection that must be a room number. And Sam and Dean say it at the same time.
Room number.
I really love it. I love it when they say things at the same time. They're like, room number. Yeah. So
I wonder if that was by accident.
I wonder. See, it's so hard to say something at the same time, I think. Like, you have to
without it being like so like 1, 2, 3, go.
Yeah, exactly. So like, yeah, I really like it. I yeah. So like Sam's gonna take Gavin and Kat out, and Dean's gonna go find the room. Like Kat asks him some really funny questions here that he's just like not having. So she's like, how do you know about this ghost stuff? Like, is it your job? Like, it's such like teenage like stuff to say. And he's like, no, like he's like, it is our job.
Why would anyone want a job like that?
I had a crappy guidance counselor.
And Dean, he's your boss?
No.
And then she asks like, oh, is Dean your boss?
Sam's face when she asked that, like, and his response is just like, no, like, why would he be my boss? That's so weird.
Yeah, and the thing is, it does like again play into this whole thing in this episode of like Sam being kind of annoyed at Dean and like taking orders and stuff, and then she's asking it outright, like, so it's obvious to other people as well, you know. So, I mean, Dean finds the room, which is Dr. Ellicott's office. So he's like looking through all his stuff again, touching things he probably shouldn't be touching. I guess they haven't come across many cursed objects yet, but I do feel like Dean touching stuff he shouldn't touch gets him in trouble a lot. Later on.
This is true.
And Sam, Gavin, and Kat find out that they can't get out. The door is locked. And Sam says like, oh, I don't think this is the patients, this is something else. Which I guess like ties into his theory that they're not violent in any way. But like, why would they be stopping them from leaving, you know? So makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, okay, but this is where I didn't quite get, like, could they not get out of the south wing, or they couldn't get out of the the asylum as a whole?
Well, I think that they could get out of the whole thing because they were saying about like checking other doors. I think they come back later and say like, oh, I've checked like all the other doors and they're locked, and then like the windows are barred. So yeah, I guess the ghosts have spread to the whole building now. The door is open, like the south wing door is open.
Maybe just it's just kind of interesting that like this is the first time that the doors have not been able to close, and again it comes down to like what you were saying earlier with, because it's Sam and Dean, like these things are happening, whereas before like the police officers got in and got the kids out and all that kind of stuff, and suddenly now they can't get out.
Yeah, why are they like a magnet for this stuff? Like, I mean, I guess we kind of know, but yeah.
I mean, maybe it's because it's 3 a.m., you know, the witching hour.
Oh yeah, true.
Who knows?
Who knows?
So Dean finds like a little hidden compartment in the wall, and it's this journal with all these like medical devices, obviously not used in a sanctioned medical way. It's like a bone saw and some like I don't the way that the like objects are drawn, like the syringe and stuff. Like I'm pretty sure those types of syringes were used in like the very early 19th century rather than like the 60s and 70s, but I don't know. I like you know the circular handles of the syringe and stuff, like I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like that, yeah, I guess like I used glass ones until plastics were a big thing, but yeah. How weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this journal's like super creepy. It's like full of sort of ramblings and writings and stuff. And Dean makes another reference to himself, I guess, like a Shining reference. So it's like all work and no play made Jack a dull boy, I guess. You know, like, I guess it does look like the ramblings from The Shining. And
then it cuts back to Sam, and like you just said, he was trying to he checked all the doors and couldn't get out. And then he receives a phone call from Dean for help, and he's told that he's in the basement.
Yeah, and I think we should know something's up here because like Dean's voice on the phone sounds really distorted and weird. But I guess you could either put that down to like the ghosts in the building are maybe messing with the electronics. I'm not sure. So yeah,
that's true. And so he tells. Like, ask Kat and Gavin, like, can either of you handle a gun? And so Kat says, I can. And, like, Gavin's like, what? So this is where I'm like, have they really known each other that long?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it doesn't really come up in conversation if, like, you're... Did say her dad took her clay shooting or something? I don't remember.
She said something about her dad teaching her. Yeah.
So she takes the shotgun, and Sam goes off towards the basement.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting that they use the same sort of like camera movements that they did for Officer Kelly when he was down there. Like they concentrate on the boiler room sign, and they concentrated on the biohazard sign on the door.
Yeah,
like it was the same kind of the camera movements, like I said.
It's a really good way to show you that he's going the same way that the like Kelly did. I think like quite a clever way to do it without saying it outright. Yeah, I liked it.
And Sam continues to walk around, and it's like again using like hidden door, or not hidden doors, but doors moving. A hidden door opens, and like he goes in. I'm like, this can only be bad things. You're in a basement, and a hidden door opens. None of this sounds like a good idea.
No.
And then we see this like a secret operating room.
Yeah.
And he's like moving curtains around, and like all the music's all tensiony, and I'm like, there's gonna be a jump scare. What's gonna be? And then first I thought it was gonna be behind the curtain, and then it's not. He turns around, and there's Mr. Ghost.
Don't be afraid. I'm going to make you all better.
It's Dr. Ellicott, and he has electrical hands, and he's saying, I'll make you feel better.
I thought the effect was really cool here, like the blue light on his hands and stuff. Yeah, I think it's even cooler later on But here,
Yes.
yeah, you just see like Sam get zapped, and then cuts to black. I guess it would have been an ad break there.
Yeah.
So we cut back to Gavin and Kat, and Kat's like, we're breaking up after this if we get out alive. Like, no more.
Good call.
Yeah. And then Dean like walks around the corner, and Kat like tries to shoot him. Luckily he gets out the way. Like, yeah.
I mean, good for her. Like, good for her.
It's a good shot. She nearly got him. So he's like, where's Sam? Like, why has he left you here with a shotgun? Like, what's going on? She's like, he's gone to the basement. So yeah, Dean goes. Luckily the like kids stay there.
Yeah. So he says a line that I really liked.
Watch yourselves. And watch out for me.
Which is like, watch out for yourselves and watch out for me. But, like, his tone again is very annoyed, like the same kind of tone he was using for like when you see a horror movie. Like it was the same kind of thing. So
yeah, he's not having it with his kids.
Had it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's had it. So Dean goes obviously to find Sam, and I just put he finds Sam looking creepy. So this is where I was saying like about it being like Sam's version of the Skin episode, because
yes,
he's himself here, but he's like not himself. So we know something happened to him. So like, why is he now acting like everything is fine? He's kind of acting a bit weird and standoffish, and
like oblivious to like kind of everything. Like as if like they hadn't discovered all of this stuff.
Yeah, or he's like, well, I think he's like actively hiding it because I don't know. Mm-hmm. It's weird. Like, this is what I mean. Like we go back to like, is the ghost not possessing like him? It's making him act a certain way though. Like, has it taken something from him? I don't know, because it like, why is he not telling? I don't know. It's a weird one. Like, what does it actually do to them? I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, that's not really. I couldn't even hazard a guess at what it could be either. Yeah. Because you know, like electric shock therapy is obviously what they're going for with the electrical hands thing, but it doesn't cause that much of a personality switch. So maybe it's more like the ghost is like not doing complete possessions, but like a little bit, because he doesn't want Dean to go into this secret room. So, and that's because obviously the Dr. Ellicott doesn't want him to go into that room.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Like maybe the ghost is like putting a little bit of himself into his victims, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, I mean, maybe I should have looked it up a little bit beforehand in that, like, what happens when you get electroshock therapy, because obviously that's what the therapy that they're trying to, like, he was trying to do on all of the people that get attacked by him. So, because it obviously does something.
I wonder, because they were talking about, like, anger therapy and, like, rage therapy. That's what Dean was saying that he'd found. So I wonder if he like makes people angry, but like not necessarily like violently angry, but kind of like cold anger you get towards people. Because I feel like at the beginning, like that's what Kelly like felt towards his wife. Maybe like he was really angry at her, and then like I think Sam here, if he's really angry at Dean, and it kind of shows with what he says to him, like maybe he's just not telling him out of spite, Like, oh, nothing's going on, like, you don't need to know. So, or, like, hiding the case from him because he's angry that they're even, like, on a case. I'm gonna go with it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's good. It's a good idea, definitely. So, like, this is where it really becomes, like, a reverse of Skin. Yeah. In that we see Sam basically getting all his emotions out.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. This is I liked this. I liked this scene a lot.
Yeah. It was this whole idea of like being the good little soldier, and like he's just had enough of it. I don't know. It was
So like this starts because Dean's trying to find this hidden door. Like he kind of knows it exists because he's read this journal, and he finds it but can't open it. And then he turns around and like Sam is like leveling the shotgun at him.
So put the gun down.
Is that an order?
That's more of a friendly request.
Because I'm getting pretty tired of taking your orders.
I mean, oh, and getting a nosebleed. So this is how we know, oh, definitely this is what's happened in the beginning. Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And he fires the shotgun. I was like,
He
what?
does. I know. He actually shot him through the door. Like, he's like, oh, yeah, like, I'm tired of taking your orders. And, like, Dean was literally like, well, what are you going to do? Shoot me? And he's like, well, yeah, I guess.
Once in your life, just shut your mouth.
What are you gonna do, Sam? Gun's filled with rock salt. Not gonna kill me.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's full of, like, rock salt. So it didn't, like, kill Dean, but that's got to hurt. He probably, like, flew backwards and, like, opened the hidden door, which is quite convenient. But, yeah, he was on the floor for a few seconds, like, ow. Dean's on the floor, Sam's standing over him, I guess still with the shotgun. Because if he shoots him again at this range, like, it's really going to hurt.
Yeah.
And, again, like, I don't know. Throughout this whole scene, like, Dean's, like, baiting him. So, he's saying, like, well, this isn't yourself. Like, we'll sort this all out and you'll go back to normal. And I think Sam says, like, oh, I am normal. I'm just telling the truth for once. And it's like, ooh, okay then. Okay then. Yeah. And you're right. This is where he says the line, like, you just follow Dad's orders like a good little soldier.
I mean, why are we even here? Because you're following Dad's orders like a good little soldier? Because you always do what he says without question? Are you that desperate for his approval?
This isn't you talking, Sam.
That's the difference between you and me. I have a mind of my own. I'm not pathetic like you.
Dean's called a soldier a few times, and it's always in a, like, I want to say derogatory term, like,
Yeah. As if it's
like,
a bad thing.
Like, he can't think for himself, so he's just following orders. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets really bad. Like, he then... I don't even know why you would bait someone into shooting you with a real gun.
Come on, take it. Real bullets are gonna work a hell of a lot better than rock salt. Take it.
I mean, he didn't, I guess, right? So he offers Sam a gun and he's like, well, if you want to kill me, here you go. Like,
yeah.
It's messed up.
Honestly, like, I didn't think he was going to do it. And then he does. He
He did pull the trigger.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
So again, okay, so this is another part which you like, as a viewer, you have to do a little bit of, like, thinking on, because he doesn't explain why he has an unloaded gun with him. Like, it doesn't make sense. But so I propose the reason why the reason why the gun is unloaded is because he already knows that, like, or something that's going on causes a lot of rage. And the Officer Kelly has shot himself and his wife.
Yeah.
So maybe he thought that, like, he needed it for anybody who might approach, like, if there was someone in the building, like, he could threaten them but not actually kill them or whatever.
Yeah, maybe.
But it's just, it feels way too convenient that the gun was unloaded.
It does. I mean, I guess you could also reason this out. Like, maybe he's carrying different ammo depending on what they might find. Maybe he has some different types that he's carrying with him and didn't load any of them. But yeah, it is a bit convenient. Also, I'm sure Sam would be able to tell that a gun was unloaded, but maybe, I guess he wasn't thinking right in that moment.
Yeah. You get so angry you don't really think about what you're doing. I've had a couple moments like that.
So this scene, what I was thinking about here was like, oh, he trusts Sam not to shoot him. This was up until the point Sam actually did try to shoot him. I'm like, okay, he's giving him this gun because he trusts that Sam won't shoot him. Like, he's still himself in there. Like, he's not going to do it. And, like, this comes up again later. There are other points in this, I think, not necessarily in this season, but in later seasons where, like, Sam's not himself. And Dean's trusting him not to kill him because he's still Sam. But I'm thinking, why do you have this trust? Because here he literally tried to shoot you. But yeah, it calls into question, like, oh, so then despite the fact that he tries to shoot him here, later on when other things happen, he still trusts Sam not to kill him. This is like...
That is kind of crazy.
They trust each other way too much.
They do. But so, you know, what made me kind of... what I'm going to say here is a major spoiler for season 15. But, like, this whole scene was almost reversed in, I think it's 15-18, where Dean is so livid with what's going on and, like, trying to get Jack the bomb to kill God. And, like, they have this very similar, like, Dean threatens to kill him at that point and, like, properly beats him up. Like, this feels very similar, but, like, reversed. And it was weird to have this, like, I mean, obviously, I feel like these situations come up a lot, but this particular one just reminded me a lot of this, obviously, maybe because it's fresher in my mind for season 15.
Yeah, it happens a lot where they're, like, on the verge of killing each other and they have to, like, plead with them not to. Not just these characters, other characters as well, so...
This is true. This is very true.
Yeah, but I was saying, like, I don't know where that trust is coming from because
I
really didn't earn it.
Not at all. Nope.
Yeah.
I mean, Dean believes in family that much. He really does.
He really
believes
does.
He really believes in his family. And then Dean gets the upper hand because, of course, he does. And knocks him out, and, like, he calls him Sammy again.
Sorry, Sammy.
Do you notice that?
Because he like punches him and then like to knock him to the ground, then really punches him to like knock him out, and I was like, ouch. But yeah, he does say like, sorry, Sammy. Yeah, I mean, he couldn't hear him at that point, so I guess he couldn't shoot back with like, Sam.
Yeah.
Oh. I wonder if he calls him Sammy behind his back to other people.
Probably does. I mean, it's his little brother. Of course he's going to use it, like, his little brother nickname. So Dean enters the room and he's, like, exploring, and, like, he sees this, like, cabinet and this, like, a little tuft of something coming out. It's obviously hair. And he opens up the closet. His reaction, I was like, yep. That's probably a very good reaction to that.
Yeah, that's a fair one.
That probably does smell horrendous.
Yeah.
But so he salts the body and throws the lighter fluid on him.
Yeah.
And then he gets attacked, and the lightning effect in this was so much. It wasn't so much, but it was just more, not expressive. I don't know what the word I'm trying to say here.
It was like more
but
defined. Yeah, you could kind of see it better. Like there was lightning going through his mouth and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and he's like trying to get he flicks the lighter open and manages to like throw it in there.
Yeah, I watched that back because I was like, how did he get the lighter in there? Like, so I rewound it and was like, oh, okay, he flicked it on and then threw it. Okay, fine.
Yeah. So for me, this happened in Bloody Mary too.
Yeah.
Dean has some serious mental fortitude because obviously Sam got affected really quickly in Bloody Mary, and then here Sam was also like taken out straight away. Obviously there was a commercial break, so we don't know how long it was, but like I'm wondering if it was because Sam had gone to therapy that it made him more susceptible to being able to be like, when you talk about your emotions, you're obviously more vulnerable at that point. So he was already super vulnerable for whatever he'd been talking about during that day.
Yeah.
And then he's obviously, I don't know, maybe I'm completely reaching, but I don't know. What were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, so what you're saying is that Dean's emotional repression is what saved the day?
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah,
I mean, it could be, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think so. Yeah, because he does seem to take long to like succumb to this. So he's together with it enough that he can throw that lighter into the cabinet. So yeah, I agree with you. I think that's a good theory.
So the burning on this one was completely different to what we've seen before. Like he turned to stone.
The ghost didn't burn at all, and also he left like a residue. It like crumbled, and there was still stuff left on the floor. Like generally, ghosts don't leave any evidence that they were there. You know it was weird. I don't know. It didn't make sense. I don't know why he crumbled into dust. But
yeah, it's like it felt very Buffy the Vampire Slayer after.
yeah.
It was bizarre.
Yeah, it was pretty weird. Yeah, but they did it. The only thing I thought was weird about this, so the ghost like crumbled, and then like Dean sort of gets off the floor, and like Sam's right next to him, but while they were doing all like rolling around the floor with the ghost and stuff, I thought Sam was on the other side of the room. Anyway, I don't know. It just caught my eye. I was like, well, that's really weird.
You know, I didn't pick that up. That's interesting.
Never mind.
So we're outside the asylum. It's now the morning.
Yeah.
And it's actually, so Sam says that he remembered everything that he said in there.
Ooh, yeah.
And actually wants to have a conversation about it. Like, wants to talk about the anger issues that he's obviously having.
Yep.
But Dean's just like, nope, no, I'm not having it.
Do we need to talk about this?
No, I'm not really in the sharing and caring kind of mood. Just want to get some sleep.
Oh, I think he says like, oh, not in the sharing, caring kind of mood.
Yeah, like, I get it. I mean, it's not great to have someone's anger directed at you and potentially be shot by that person. Yeah. But like, you do need to say something about it. Like, it's not.
No, they're not going to talk about it. They're not going to talk about it.
They're not going to talk about it. And I'm like, there's 3 minutes left of the episode. Like, what?
I actually stopped and I was like, well, this is 2 lines that sums up Supernatural, where Sam's like, we need to talk about this, and dude's just like, no.
Yeah, basically.
Oh no!
Is either Sam saying it or Dean saying it? It's never like they never come to an agreement that they both need to do it.
I have this photo set saved that I saw someone post once, and it's from a later season. Because Sam's got really long hair, and he's digging a grave, and Dean stood on the side, and he says, "Do you want to talk about it?" And then Sam says, "No." So I mean, it's the exact same line. And it's like, yeah, well, that's it. That's 15 years for you. We don't want to talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Look where it got you.
Yeah. So I mean, Dean's like, no, I just want to go sleep. I mean, to be fair, like, I guess, like you said, like, I'd be kind of annoyed. Like, my brother's just shot me, told me all these horrible things about myself, that, you know, I just follow orders and that I boss him around. And so, yeah, I'd be, I guess Dean's angry here, but doesn't want to show it because it's kind of also not Sam's fault, really, that he said those things. So, you know.
Yeah.
Gosh, just talk about it. They should go back to see that therapist together. You know?
Right.
If anybody needs, like, family therapy, it's these guys. What I did like about this is, like, Dean says, like, no, I just want to go to sleep. And then the next scene is, like, just him asleep.
Yeah. We don't see that very often. Well, not in the beginning, anyway. And, like, you hear a phone ringing and Sam's obviously asleep too. I mean, it makes sense. They've just been up all night. Like, you're going to go home and gonna crash. And, you know, he's saying, Dean, your phone's ringing. Dean, your phone's ringing. And he answers the phone and Sam says...
Hello? Dad?
I like where he, like,
end of
sits
episode.
Up and says it. I know.
Yeah.
Whoa, cut to black. Yeah.
So I wrote, frickin' finally.
Yes. But, like...
Took you long enough.
Yeah. And then Sam picks up. Oh my gosh. Like, yeah. After all this time. Yeah. So, I really liked this episode. I actually remembered, like, most of the stuff that happened in this episode, and I know I liked it, you know. I think I know you don't like a ghost story, but I quite like a good ghost episode of Supernatural. It feels very like familiar, and I think there's a lot of ghost episodes in this first season. I think most of the monsters have been ghosts so far, and I think that's why it feels familiar. I like it as well because at least it did continue on a little bit from the last episode. They didn't discuss everything, but they discussed some of the things, kind of. Mm-hmm. They talked around it a lot. You know,
I mean, that's it didn't feel as much of a step backwards as some of the other episodes have.
Yeah,
but it wasn't quite what I honestly, like, I only remember fragments of the next few episodes. Like, I don't the overarching story. I know I'm getting confused with season 2 and 3. Like I can't differentiate when certain things happen. So there's I think we're sometimes I think we're going too slow, and then suddenly we're not. So I know it's bizarre. Yeah, I mean, overall, like I said, I don't like creepy ghosts. Like, so far the other ghost stories have not affected me as much as this one, and I think it's just more because there's more of them. Like most of the time it's just one ghost, whereas this one we saw like at least 4, right? 4 or 5. But I mean, like the cinematography, the whole feel of the episode was very good. I did enjoy that.
Yeah, I thought the lighting was really nice. Like, it's a dark episode, as they mostly are, but I feel like times when they use torches and like lighters and things, I think it looks really nice. So yeah, I like it. I like a little bit of character. There's a little bit of character development, a tiny bit. I mean, it wasn't really. It was all stuff that we already kind of knew. Sam was kind of like on Dean's case a bit about how much he sort of idolizes John. Like, Dean doesn't think that Sam's like fully committed to the life at the moment. It's all stuff that's been gone over before. But this is the first time, I guess, Sam's kind of really confronted Dean about it, but it wasn't really, So we'll see. Maybe the next few episodes, if John's going to be about, maybe some things will be said. Who knows?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows indeed. Well, so talking about that, the next episode is Scarecrow, which is like, I just read the first line of the description and I'm like, oh no. I won't say anything more. But this is the episode that I thought Hookman was going to be.
Yeah.
You were right. That like Scarecrow is literally yeah. So
yeah,
I think it's like a Jeepers Creepers kind of no Jeepers Creepers.
I think you're right with the Jeepers Creepers. The only thing it makes me think of is that Doctor Who 2-parter episode with the scarecrows.
I don't remember that.
From one of Ten's episodes. There's like scarecrows attacking like an English village. Yeah, it makes me think of that, and I think it's kind of similar. Maybe it doesn't look as almost cartoonish as the Doctor Who ones, but no, looking forward to it. I find scarecrows super creepy. So, and all around here they have like festivals for scarecrows, and I don't like it.
I don't think I've actually seen a scarecrow like in person. I don't think I've ever actually seen one. I mean, I've seen them on TV and I've seen them like this, that, and the other, but like I don't think I've ever gone to like a field and seen one.
I will take you to the Scarecrow Festival. It's creepy.
Yay!
So thanks everyone for trying to escape purgatory with us this week. I feel like we made some steps in the right direction, but I'm not sure. Have we seen that tree before? Thanks everybody. Bye.